You are listening to Pocketful of Diamonds, Book 7 of the Nadia Wolf series, written by Nicolette Pierce. Copyright 2016. Audio copyright 2025 by Pierced Heart Publishing. Digitally narrated with full cast of voices. Chapter 7. Excuse me? Ian couldn't have heard Gwen correctly.
I can help.
He'd heard correctly. Unfortunately, his mind blanked. A simple no would have sufficed, but he didn't even get that out of his mouth before she continued.
I overheard your conversation with Gerard. I know you don't want my help, nor do you trust me. But if Jasper and I are both here at the same time, there's a reason. Someone leaked information to the wrong people.
You would know all about the wrong people. She looked at him for a moment before finally nodding.
I don't deny that. But the fact is, you have someone who is selling your information.
I trust everyone here in Najamba. They would not sell me out. They are far better with the mine operational than for the government and rebels to war on their lands. We've only just begun rebuilding from the last invasion. Gwen swept her hair over her shoulder, combing it with her fingers.
The last piece of information I received was that your mine wasn't viable anymore. Now I've been sent here to obtain more information. The only reason to do that is if you had a windfall. Jasper knows it, and I know it. I am willing to help you. I doubt Jasper will give you the same courtesy.
She took out her phone and flashed a grainy picture.
It's you. You must have found something worth investigating. Who would you rather fight? Me or Jasper?
Jasper would sell his grandmother's secrets. He didn't give a damn about anyone. But it gave Ian an idea. Perhaps for a few diamonds, Jasper would part with the name of his informant. It would prove that the person wasn't from Najamba, which would be a relief. He truly didn't suspect anyone from the area would betray him or their livelihood. It just didn't make sense to do such a thing. With the informant's name, Ian could take steps to find him and make sure he no longer continued. Gwen looked expectantly at Ian as she wrapped her hair into a knot at the bottom of her neck and secured it with a hairband she slipped out from her pocket. Ian tried not to notice the wisps of hair that had already escaped and caressed the sides of her face, nor how her white shirt was now rumpled from sleep. Not even the tan shorts that hugged her hips and stopped midway on toned thighs. And he definitely tried not to notice her long, sun-kissed legs. What in the hell was wrong with him? If he didn't get Jasper under thumb, the situation would spiral out of control. Yet all he could think about was Gwen's legs wrapped around him. He dragged his eyes away from her. Why would you want to help? He wouldn't let her, of course. But he was curious. Maybe it was a scheme so that he would trust her again, only to be blindsided when she showed her true colors. He rubbed the back of his head where he still had a lump from their last encounter. Gwen sighed.
Sorry about that. I didn't mean to knock you out, or punch you, if you hadn't said. Well, either way, I'm sorry.
Ian had felt a twinge of remorse as soon as he had called her a prostitute, but he wouldn't admit it, especially not to her. Again, why would you want to help?
Like I said before, I'm not here to steal anything from you.
Except information.
Yes, I suppose so. But I'll make a deal with you. I won't make a report. All I ask is that you let me go, and you'll never see me again.
Why should I believe you?
It's either me or Jasper. You don't want us both coming after you.
Ian nudged his rifle. You forget that you are no longer in the hunt. She let out an exasperated breath.
I'm lending my services to you for free. Stop acting like a wounded boy and start acting like...
Don't finish that sentence, he warned. Ian stood and grabbed the rifle, keeping it tight in his grip. There was no way he'd ever use it on Gwen, but she was testing his patience. She crossed her arms and sat back, averting her eyes. Her silence gave Ian a chance to think. While he didn't trust her, he was curious to know how she could help him. Maybe there was a way to play with fire but not get burned as well. Who do you work for? She turned her head away, ignoring his question. I just wonder how you are able to steal so much and yet come out with nothing.
I have enough.
From what I can tell, you gather the information, you steal and fence the diamonds, yet you can't afford to pay me back. Where is the money?
I said I would help you. I will not, however, answer your questions.
Then we are at an impasse. I won't trust your help until you answer.
Then we are at an impasse.
She agreed. Ian watched as her expression hardened. Then why don't I tell you my suspicions? Ian said. He studied her for a moment, wondering if she would argue. She didn't. Instead, she waved her hand flippantly and said,
Be my guest.
with what he knew of her situation, which wasn't much, he suspected that she wasn't working alone, nor was in control. For a strong, smart, independent woman, he could only come to a few conclusions. I think you are being blackmailed. You steal to keep the blackmailer content. He was happy to notice her stony expression had shifted to surprise for a mere second, which meant he was close to the mark, but it also gave him instant indigestion. If Gwen was truly at the mercy of a blackmailer, then he pitied her. It was not an emotion he wanted to feel for her. It led to so many others. So, what does the blackmailer hold over you? Gwen looked him straight in the eye and said,
I have to go to the bathroom.
He raised a brow at the abrupt change in topic. Gerard swung the door open.
He's here and already broke through the quarantine perimeter.
Ian silently cursed. He shouldn't be surprised. Jasper would see through any stall tactics they used. Handing the rifle to Gerard, he said, Gwen has to go to the bathroom. I'll deal with Jasper.
The bathroom?
Gerard's brows rose high.
Shouldn't you?
No! Ian barked and walked out of the office into the early morning light. Following the trail to the village, he hurried to find Jasper. Instead of focusing on the problems Jasper posed at the moment, he replayed his suspicions and realized that Gwen never denied them. Was he right then? If he was, he might have an easier time dealing with Gwen. If she knew her blackmailer, then he could help her escape his reach. He halted. Help Gwen? Had he lost his mind? Yes, he was truly out of his mind. He tried to shake Gwen out and focus on Jasper. He would have to talk to her later. As it was, he just reached the village to find Jasper and 10 men with him, all with necessary equipment plus rifles.
I've come to help in the mine.
Jasper said, his dark eyes lighting with knowledge.
It was good timing, seeing as the village is in lockdown.
Ian knew Jasper had called his bluff, but he could at least try to make him reconsider. Are you sure you want to chance a case of Ebola? You could end up spreading it to your wife and children. A few of the workers looked uneasy. Ebola had swept through the land months before and claimed thousands of lives. It was not something they wanted to rekindle. Jasper must have heard a stir amongst the men standing behind him. He raised his hand to settle them.
It's a lie. Don't forget we are under strict orders.
Whose orders? Jasper smiled.
You attracted attention from the wrong people. I suggest you move out of our way.
Wrong people? Unfortunately, that didn't give him any clues as to who was behind both Jasper and Gwen's appearances. In Sierra Leone, the wrong people were everywhere. The only people he trusted lived in Najamba. Ian didn't bother wasting his breath with further arguments. Instead, he said, Then feel free to work the mine while my workers are in quarantine. But anything you find still belongs to the village. Jasper narrowed his eyes and gave the signal to proceed forward. As Jasper passed, Ian held out his hand. You can pay me now for those diamonds you took yesterday. Jasper looked at Ian's hand.
Think of our work today as payment.
He tried to step around, but Ian blocked him. I didn't ask you for your help. That was the last of our diamonds. You will pay me now. While Ian wasn't desperate for the funds, he had to make it seem like he was. When they didn't find any diamonds, they might then understand his persistence. It was a long shot. Jasper eyed him with unveiled hostility. Ian was unarmed, and Jasper had 10 men at the ready. Jasper had the upper hand and knew it.
We will settle at the end of the day.
He bumped Ian out of his way as he and his men shoved through. Ian watched as they headed down the path to the river. Jasper was right. They would settle at the end of the day. Ian would make sure of it.
Gwen stared at the spot Gerard pointed to. Are you kidding?
No.
She huffed an exasperated breath. Then turn around.
No.
I'm not peeing here. It wasn't that she was picky. Far from it, especially given that she was in a remote area with no running water or plumbing. And the fact that she was now crossing her legs so she didn't explode made her even less choosy. But he pointed at a tiny bush, only calf-high. There was no way she could maintain any sort of modesty while squatting near the diminutive plant. If you're afraid I'm going to run, I promise not to. I couldn't. Not at the moment, anyway. If she moved now, she was bound to lose it. Please. She hated to beg, but the situation called for it.
Fine.
He said, turning around.
I won't look, but I can hear if you make any sudden moves.
Thank you.
If you run, you won't thank me when I catch you.
She had never met Gerard before, just saw him in passing. He didn't seem the threatening sort, but neither did Ian. She seemed to bring out the worst in people. Gwen hurried to relieve herself, but it seemed as if her full bladder was never ending.
Will you finish any time soon? I have other things to do.
She rolled her eyes. This was worse than having to shower after gym class. There was absolutely no privacy. If you are in such a hurry, then go. I'll be fine here on my own.
And let you run off?
I don't suppose you have toilet paper.
There are leaves next to you.
Gwen frowned.
Why are you here anyway? We don't have anything for you to steal.
Don't you? He turned just as Gwen was zipping up her shorts.
What have you heard?
Absolutely nothing.
Liar.
Gwen shrugged. If Ian didn't believe her, why would Gerard? I doubt your plan to quarantine the area slowed Jasper down. Are you sure you want to stand here and call me a liar when you should help Ian? He nudged her with the gun.
Walk.
Where?
The mine. If you want diamonds, you have to earn them.
She sighed and walked down the path. She didn't want to see Jasper, but it looked as if she had no choice in the matter. As soon as she stepped at the edge of the flattened land, she saw Jasper ordering his armed men to dig in certain spots. Some were near the marked areas, and others were digging elsewhere. A few had waded into the river to sift through the bottom sediment. Jasper narrowed his eyes. He scoured the land with his focused gaze, barking orders and hurrying the men. Gwen had a sick feeling that he knew more than she did. While Gwen didn't know much, she knew that Jasper and armed men meant that Ian had diamonds. A lot of them. But did they know for certain? Ian stood on the bank and watched as the men tore up his land. Are you sure you want Jasper to see me? She asked Gerard. If I'm here, he'll know for sure you're sitting on a fortune.
Why do you care? Aren't you here for the same thing he is?
When she didn't answer, he continued.
Ian poured money into this village. And for what? So people like you and Jasper could steal? So the government and rebels could destroy it?
Gwen had always carried the burden of guilt with her, but she had never faced her actions before. It had always just been a growing knot in her stomach, one that she would push down so she could handle her next assignment. No matter what you think of me, you shouldn't let Jasper see me. It'll only make matters worse for you and Ian. While he didn't verbally acknowledge that she was right, he did nudge her in the direction of the office. Once there, he tied her hands and feet and secured her to the office chair using caution tape. She didn't protest because she knew it would only make him angry. It wasn't like they could keep her here forever. And Ian wasn't the type to kill anyone, not even to protect the village. She thought the same of Gerard. Once they came to their senses, they would let her go. And if they didn't? Well, she didn't want to think about that. She'd just have to trust her instincts. Before Gerard closed the door on his way out, she said, "Tell Ian his eyes drift over to the northern corner of the mine too often. Jasper will figure it out before long." Gerard slammed the door closed.